What's up, everybody? Super excited to have you all with us tonight. We're going to have a great time. Welcome to Free Game. My name is Chantel Mack. I'm Team Whitaker Group, and we have some very special guests in the building with us. We are talking about owning your space and defining your superpower. So before we kick it and get ready to have this crazy conversation, James, you got something you want to say before you turn it on over?
I think today's guest is so dope that I don't very often like take a back seat, but today I'm gonna take a whole back seat. We got Tasha Saunders and Tanisha Wright, which I think you're gonna love to hear from both of them. And I'm gonna step back already. Tasha's already smiling, so I'm gonna let Tasha introduce herself first, and then Tanisha can go after Tasha.
Oh, sorry. Hey y'all, Tanisha, you should go first. I feel like
that's cool. I
can like this. So you had the cheese.
Okay, well, I'm just a cheeser. Well, hi y'all. Thanks, James. Thanks for having me. My name is Tasha Sanders. I'm the founder and CEO of Her Grails. We're based out of Houston, Texas. We throw sneaker events tailored towards women. We let the men come sometimes to some of our events, but majority of the events are in Houston. We throw experiences basically made for women to give them a platform to embrace, to empower, to showcase women in the industry and women who just like kicks. It's really it.
I love it, Tasha. Hey, everybody. I'm excited to be here. I appreciate you guys tuning in. My name is Tanisha Wright. I am the head coach for the WNBA's Atlanta Dream down there in Atlanta. So if anybody's in the area, I tell y'all to come on through. We'll show you a good time down in the A. But I'm super excited to be here. I'm originally from Pittsburgh, so I have a little bit of connection here. But yeah, so I'm excited.
Before we get started, James, ladies, real quick, we want to give a quick shout out. We got some people in different spaces. Hello to those of you who have joined us online right here. But we also have our new Greensboro space that just opened up there in the audience. We got Pittsburgh, we got Atlanta. We also have Charlotte and Houston, H-Town, where I'm at. So we got our Be Social spaces that have joined us tonight. We're going to be grabbing questions from some of everybody. So we're super excited. Somebody's not on mute. I'm gonna mute you real quick, brother. We're gonna get to you. So to kick it off, since we are talking about owning your space and defining your superpower, ladies, real quick, what does it look like to own the particular space that you are in? So you kind of talked about what you do a little bit, but just what is your space and what do you think it means to own it?
Tanisha, you want me to go first?
Oh, it don't matter. I can jump in. I would say, listen, I would say for my space, right? I'm in the sports world, right? And I'm a woman in sports. I coach in a predominantly Black African American women league. So representation, I think, matters. As a former player myself, so I'm trying to own that space where our players, former players, current players, whatever that looks like, right? They know that there are opportunities for them to be in these position of powers, because no matter which way you look at it, as a head coach in this league, that's a position of power. And so it also elevates opportunities for us. So for me, owning that space is making sure that I'm showing up each and every day as a representation of what could be.
Yeah, amazingly said, Tanisha. I should have went first.
I told you we were gonna have some fun.
Dang it. No, but I think I'm in a male-dominated industry and have been almost a decade now. And so I think that being a woman in a male-dominated industry is something on its own. You have to be so many things. And so I feel like owning that space is like making sure these people know that we're supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be here. My resume proves it. My accolades prove it. But also because I think women need to be in this space. You know, it's male dominated, but that doesn't, I feel like especially now, men are realizing that, you know, how much purchase power women have, how many great ideas women have. And we need to put these women up at higher VP spaces, higher up positions. And just like Tanisha said, representation is huge. A lot of women don't even know, like, and even men, what positions are in the sneaker industry that might not have to be just designing a sneaker. There's so much more. And I think that's the main goal is for me is showing women that you don't have to be cookie cutter, do this, do that to be in this industry and to be accepted. So I think it's great. I'm loving it. It's difficult sometimes, especially being a woman. But I think it's fabulous to be rocking with the boys sometimes. Edwin, thanks, Edwin.
Tanisha, you said kind of like knowing who you are in the space and kind of representing who you are. How do you do that? What does that look like for you personally? Because there are some rules that you got to follow or whatever. Do you feel like there are rules you got to follow? How do you represent who you are?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, right there in any construct of what you're trying to do, there are typical and normal rules that you know that you have to follow. But to be honest, to me, it's about being unapologetically me, right? The best thing I can be is me. I'm really fucking good, excuse my language, at being me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's it. And so I look at it from that perspective. I'm not trying to be anybody else. I'm not trying to emulate anybody else. I'm just trying to go out there and show what I have and what I offer and what I can bring to the table. And, you know, if I'm successful at doing that, which has gotten me to this point, just being myself has gotten me to this point, then, you know, again, it's representation. It also allows the next person to see like, oh, damn, I could do it this way. You know what I mean? I don't have to go the cookie cutter way. I don't have to go that way because that's not the route that I went. You know what I mean? For me, the route that I went, I came up as a player. And then from a player, I coached for 2 years as an assistant. And then from there, I had the opportunity to become a head. So it's really just doing it your own way and being yourself.
Tanisha, how did you get to some of the confidence to be unapologetically you? Because I think I found that sometimes there's, especially when you're younger, it takes you a second to get your footing to understand that what you're doing is actually meaningful, right? And it's having an impact. So how did you, at what point did you start to understand your voice and the importance and the impact of your voice?
That's a good question. That's a good point. So for me, it became more visible towards the end of my playing career, right? Like I represented myself as a player. I established myself as a player. And once I was able to do that, I started to connect with players, younger players coming in. And the more you see them gravitate towards you, the more you see them look up at you, like they start looking up at me like I'm the OG, you know what I mean? But I was becoming that. And so like the things that I was saying became more, you know what I mean, meaningful. Because now I know like, oh shit, people are really listening to me, players are really understanding. But I think, Jay, even beyond that, right? I mean, from where I grew up, you better have some type of confidence. You know what I'm saying? Like how we came up and how we grew up, you better learn quick that you gotta have some type of confidence. And so that definitely, our upbringing definitely prepared me in that manner.
Tasha?
I keep going after Tanisha, man. Everything
You gonna
she
go
said
first next time, Tasha.
Listen, no, but everything she said is just so spot on, and it's refreshing to hear you say all this because absolutely, I feel like that. Again, sometimes it can get difficult, but I think having confidence is so huge, and I think it took me a long time to get to here, and I think owning your space and being like, hey, I got this, I know what I'm talking about, can be difficult, but I think it's so important, especially in male-dominated industries, in the sneaker industry, in streetwear industry. You can't come in there faking the funk. And so just exactly like Tanisha said, being authentic and genuine and honest is like so important. I literally say that all the time. Do not come up in here trying to be hype beast this, whoop whoop that. No. Be you, whatever you like to rock, whatever you like to do. Hey, I can wear whatever I want to wear and nobody can tell me nothing. I will rock some Vans, some Chucks, some whatever. It every day, it'd be okay. So I think that's super important. Being genuine, authentic, I think comes full circle always. Especially I feel like with trends and us being older, like the stuff we was rocking years ago is very tight and popular now. So it's like, stay the course, stay yourself, stay genuine. Just like Tanisha said, man, I can't express that enough. Do not, because especially the sneaker industry, we will call you out. People know when you faking the funk. People know when you faking it and trying to be something you're not.
I think
Tosh,
that's anywhere, Tosh. Like people
yes.
know, you know what I'm saying? It's an
True.
indie industry. People can sniff you out. Like players smell blood. That's what we call it.
Ooh.
Like a player will smell blood and know whether or not a coach is on their shit or know what they talking about. And the minute they smell blood, that's the minute you lose their respect. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? They try to walk all over you and eat you alive. So you got to be you.
Well,
Love it.
now that y'all say that, both, because Tosh, I was about to ask you for an example, because I think, given the situation and understanding some people in the audience is like just in early parts of their journey and may not have went through some of the things that you're talking about. So Tosh, I'll go to you first. Give me an example when you felt like you had to put your foot down and had to stand up for yourself, especially being in the industry. That you're right. Streetwear is very heavily male dominated, and being around you for a while since we've been in Houston and understanding like what your story is, I could recall a few things that me saying like, yo, you good? And you needing to kind of like hold yourself, not make sure you properly keep your ground, if that makes sense.
Yes.
But tell us about some examples where you needed to do that.
Oh man, so many, especially coming up. Again, females and sneakers right now is a lot different than it was 10 years ago when I kind of got in the game. So just in the beginning, man, like people, especially even, we can even go as far as me moving to Houston, like people didn't get it. People were like, whoa, you're rocking sneakers with skirts and what is this, put on some heels? And I'd be like, no, this is literally what I look like all day. And it's so refreshing to see it come to what it is now, because I used to get called like, I look unprofessional or I look young. And so to see it now is just amazing. And it's because I stayed the course. I'm not about to put, like, I'll rock some heels, but I'm not about to go to no event in some heels that I don't want to, or some dress when I want to rock some streetwear stuff. And so I think, especially streetwear, man, I was with streetwear before I was with sneakers. So I interned at Karmaloop. That was my first internship out of college. Sorry to age myself if y'all know what Karmaloop is. But, it's important to see that we've been here. I think men and even some women didn't realize like what we did to get here. And so I think men are always like, oh yeah, you guys get everything now. Yeah, that's now. We've been men, and especially the women before me. So I think I definitely had to put my foot down and be like, look, I'm not changing for nobody. This is what I like to wear. This is what I like to rock. I wouldn't even say I grew up as a tomboy, but now, I just like what I like, and that is fine. And so I think it's very important to put your foot down. I think, and it's cool to be like, obviously I'm not the same woman I was 10 years ago. I'm not the same woman I was a year ago. So we go through our changes, but I think, again, deep down, your characteristics, what you are inside, staying true to that is so important. I literally could talk about that all day.
When you think about, and I've not had a chance to spend this much time with you, Tanisha, but we already vibe. Tasha, when I think about actually both of y'all and how gender norms could play a part in kind of what you do, and I'm shooting this at you, Tasha, and I probably could have texted you and asked you this, but I'm asking you right in front of everyone. How in the event space and curating your experiences, how do you push back against possibly being over-sexualized and the expectation for you when you show up to an event that you have to look like Vanna, Tisha, with the whatevers? How do you own yourself in that, whether you choose to be sexual in who you are or you choose not to be? And then Tanisha, for you thinking about it, how do you push against it? Because people think about basketball players and women and Black women in particular, there's a certain stamp that they put on you. So how do you both process that? Tasha, you start first.
Yeah, great. You guys are asking phenomenal questions. I love this. I think that it's been a long time coming, but I worked with a company called Sneaker Summit here for 5 years. We threw events, and a lot of it was for men. And I think that when I came on, I made it a point to be like, look, we're not just your girlfriends coming to these shows. We want to be there to buy shoes, to buy whatever the vendors are, and we want female vendors. So I think it's important to, when you hold, that's why our experiences and our events at Her Girls is so important, because we create a space where women are thought of in the sneaker industry. So we're making sure that almost, I would say 90% of my vendors at my events, whether that be the camera guy, girl, in this case, the venue, flowers, balloons, are all female. And I think especially nowadays, it comes in so many different forms. So and then this can work in any male dominated industry. You know, there's not, again, the cookie cutter. I don't have to look like a certain girl to be in the sneaker world. I don't look like I have to look like a certain girl to be in the streetwear world. There's so many different levels. I'm not a fashionista. I went to school for fashion marketing, but I'm the marketing girl. There's tons of girls that be killing it on the gram, styling, profiling, doing it. That's not me. I'm gonna clap you up, but that's not me. But it's great to see that, like especially in the sneaker world, like you could have your tomboys, your high fashionistas, you know, whatever. It's so much space. And then I think I'll lead this into Tanisha's, especially like Sydney Carter, what we just went through with how she didn't dress appropriately for her coaching position. What is a coach supposed to look like?
Exactly.
Man, I'm so happy you asked this, Tanisha. I can't wait to hear your answer, because you guys did it a lot worse than us.
So we get it from two perspectives, right? First of all, some of our target audience that we've been trying to hone in is middle-aged men, right? And so what we deal with it, one way that we deal with it is like, these men, Tasha, you just said it, think that like, oh, you got to look a certain way to be a woman's basketball player. No, you don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't. Like, we show up and we different shapes, different sizes, different looks. It is what it is. It doesn't change our femininity. You know what I mean? It doesn't change any of that. We show up as who we are. You know what I mean? If you like that, you like that. If you don't, you don't. Move on, keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? And to your point, right, about Sydney Carter, it amazes me how many people, like, you interested in what she got on. Tune into what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, put more focus and more energy into what the hell this woman is doing, not into what she looked like. You know what I'm saying? And to be honest, she looked fabulous. You know what I mean? She could rock whatever she wants. She could have went out there and rocked the suit and still look just as fire as she looked in her pink you know what I mean? Her pink leather pants. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, we deal with it from way different perspectives. We're in Atlanta, right? So this year, like, we gonna dress to the T, right? We in Atlanta this year, so we're gonna dress to the T. But on the road, I might have on some slacks and a sport casual zip up or something like that. So you know what I mean? We don't have to adhere to any ideas that other people have for us. Like, we show up as who we are, you know?
Showing up as who you are every single time, all the time. What backlash do you feel like, how do you deal with, I would say, backlash for being confident in the space? And I know we talk about this all the time, you know, in the assertiveness, especially for Black women, but how do you deal with it in a way that's balanced, or is it full force, like you got to attack it and call it out when you see it?
Man, Tanisha probably goes through it a lot more than me. She's on a different scale of celebrity. But I think that, man, we go through it so much. We're, again, not, you know, being assertive. We're called a bitch when we're really not. If a man did it, you know, it'd be the same thing. He'd be a boss. Sexism in the workplace has always been something. I don't know if that'll ever go away. I think it's gotten better. But I think that women, we're supposed to do I've had men get mad at me because I told them what to do. And I'm like, I'm your boss. Like, what are you not getting, baby? And so, you know, they don't like female authority. And so or maybe they're not used to female authority. I'll say that. And, you know, so I think that we go through so much as being confident and you know, me and Chantel has talked about this, I'm an extrovert, I'm loud, I'm, you know, blunt, I'm, you know, I say what's on my mind. And so we get put into this box like, oh, she's, you know, she doesn't, she just is loud and she doesn't know what she's talking about or whatever. And she can't tell me what to do. But I think it's important to realize, like, the sexism here, like, if a man was doing it, it would look totally different. And I think that confidence is so important to women, especially Black and brown women, because we're told we're not supposed to have that, or we're not really taught that we're supposed to have that much confidence. You know, just kind of stay in our course, stay what we're supposed to do what we say. No, we can't do that anymore. My dad knew quickly. that wasn't gonna work.
What happening? Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Let
think
me,
like,
go ahead. See, let me throw this little piece in sandwich in between y'all real quick before
yeah,
you answer. For the women in the room, or the men, but in particular women in the room who might be quieter, who might not be super like loud or whatever, because I think sometimes women aren't allowed to be nuanced, how we approach certain things. So for me, I'm the woman who sometimes people might call me the tree hugger because I think about feelings and I process what I say before I say it. I fight a little different. I don't know if I just learned it different from growing up how I grew up, fighting all the time, where now I want to fight, but maybe not the way that I used to. And so I think it's important too to shout out for those leaders, the women who might not be super loud, who might not cuss you out, who might process what they, what they want to say, and they might do it differently. There's space for you and how you lead and process and do. And it's necessary, and you are nuanced. And because women are fiery or because women are quiet, doesn't mean we're emotional. It means we are who we are. So I just want to throw that in there because it's different.
and I would say to your point, Chantel, is like you fight smarter, not necessarily harder. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a difference. You can fight smarter. Like we said in sports, we say you working hard, but you ain't working smart, so you wasting your goddamn time. You know what I mean? Like work smarter, not always harder. Like knowing the difference and knowing how to do that. And to your point with the differences of women, it's like, all right, you work that way and that gets you that far, and I work this way and this can get me this far. That makes sense. But going back to the the original question, so this is my first year as a head coach. So I know there's going to be a lot of shit coming, a lot of stuff coming my way. But I would say one of the things that we get as a former player, like that's a pet peeve of mine is like the guys, right? You talk about how we're aggressive because we're players. The guys be like, I can beat you one-on-one. Like that is the worst. like that approach is always the worst to me. I'm like why are you challenging me? You know what I'm saying? Like go down to the YMCA and try those people. Don't try me. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm with it because I grew up playing against guys my whole life, so I'm with it. Believe me and you, right? I ain't got no issue with it. But it's like don't try me. Go try the local the local YMCA guy. You know, so it's like just because they see us in these positions, I'm like, you ain't go to college. Matter of fact, you wasn't on your high school team. You ain't go to college, and now here you are challenging me as a professional women's basketball. What you think? I just got myself thrown into this position? You think I just woke up one day and just showed up and was like, oh, I'm a professional women's basketball player? Like, bro, I've been doing this for a very long time. So your little passive aggressive comment right now is like, go that way. Go that way.
Not passive aggressive.
Yeah, your passive aggressive comment is go that way. Go, like I said, go down to the local YMCA and try them. Don't try me. You know, guys love that.
James, this what you grew up with, James?
I got a question. So, because it's a lot of how should men engage meaningfully, right? And I know the answer to the question, right? But I still think there's a lot of things where I know both of your personalities well enough to understand it. My apologies for the background noise. I know both of your personalities well enough to understand how to engage, and I think I'm savvy enough to understand. But I think some people sometimes get stuck dealing with very assertive women, right? And then if you take it a step further, sometimes men tend to over-sexualize women. It's just something that's natural, right? Because how do we coexist as opposite genders that are naturally supposed to be attracted to one another, and still then have to engage and interact with one another, right? And so talk to me about what some of those interactions should look like, because then I could go a step further, but I won't right now. I'll get this answer first. Did my question make sense?
I think so. I think also I want to say I'm seeing a lot of men in here, and I'm very happy to see, because I think it's important to know, like, we talk a lot of shit about the men, but we need men. I need male allies, especially in my industry, to help me. And also women, we're not really taught the business side of things. I've caught a lot of my male counterparts with help. I've, asked James for advice. I do not know everything, and especially in a male-dominated industry, why would I not ask a male what to do in certain situations? So I just want to say that we talk a lot of shit on the men, but hey, I love you guys that are in this chat right now. and that are supporting women. I think I'll just go first, Tanisha. I think treating us, and we want to be treated equally, obviously, but again, treat us like your counterpart. There's nothing different besides a few body parts. Treat us as your equal.
Pause. You can't. Once again, you can't say that way, right? Because in a market, in the workplace, right?
Okay.
Sexual harassment is a whole thing, right? Like
Yes.
a whole hyper-trained,
Yes.
sensitive conversation and space for women and making sure they have their voices is a whole thing, right? And it's a very delicate line that people have to walk, right? But what I want to discuss is that delicacy, because you just said it. The only difference is the body parts, right? Those body parts tend to complicate this conversation, right?
I agree.
Complication.
Well, I can't speak for men. I think that I've been in situations, sexual harassment in the workplace. I've dealt with it. Man, I probably couldn't even.
Well, you shouldn't have to deal with it. I'm not. No. I don't want you to deal with sexual harassment. No. What I'm saying is, how do you expect men, right? And obviously, the regular treat like human part is cool, right? So let me give a scenario because it'll help us.
Okay.
What if a man is truly attracted to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And needs to still manage that by working with you in a workplace or as a peer. Less about the workplace, as a peer, because it gets easier. You're an entrepreneur, so there isn't a workplace per se. It's as a peer. How do you manage that, and how should a guy manage that?
Like a grown adult, you're gonna have to handle. Keep that to yourself.
No, that's too broad.
I don't know what to tell you. Keep that to yourself.
Adult? No, what's a grown adult? Because you can't smack us on one hand and not give us instructions on the other. You can't. You can't have it both ways. If we're doing it wrong, tell us how to do it.
Treat me a professional. This is your coworker, whatever. Like you said, counterpart, peer.
But hold, I'm gonna paint the scenario. You don't know the person's attracted to you, so now you may feel uncomfortable if they and Tuck got his hand on his face like, yeah, this is getting good.
Right? Who is this? Let me see.
I think Jay, to your point, right? You do it in a very adult manner. If you are attracted to somebody, whether or not they're in your workplace or not, you approach them and say, hey, you know what I mean? You have a simple conversation with them. You have a simple conversation, and now you give me the ability to say yay or nay. You know what I mean? And we can keep
outside of work.
Yes, obviously not within the workplace. Like, this is a professional setting. You know what I mean? And so while we're here, we're gonna keep it professional, because in our sport, matter of fact, listen, my one of the people that I just tried to hire, right? He left and went with his wife. Right. So now his wife is his boss, and he's dealing with his wife, and that dynamic and what we can't hear you, Jay.
What do you say?
I said, I'm not married, but I'll never do that.
But right, that's a different dynamic. And as long as I think you have a professional mindset, you can make it work.
Look, he acting like James is cracking me up because
I've been unemployed my whole life. So I guess I have been. I've been an entrepreneur my entire life, right?
I got a quick question.
Oh, whoa, hold on for me real quick, Jabari. We're gonna get to your question, brother. Hold on for me.
Jabari, so you don't quit, drop it in the chat, because you got a cheese on your face, brother, and I think you can help what I'm going here.
Oh, Lord.
Can I ask y'all three this, though? Do you think it's important to be consistent? Because y'all all know that people like the work husband, work wife, the work babe, whatever. Sometimes when it's convenient and you can just get some male, female energy, because people do that. Do you think it's important though to keep that same energy, keep it consistent, or do you think just let it be what it needs to be in the moment?
There's a difference between I'm just trying to hook up with somebody compared to I really might like that person, and so let me approach them in a way that shows that I have genuine and sincere interest in something beyond just hey, what you doing on Friday night? You know what I'm saying? What's up? You know what I'm saying? To me, there's a difference between that.
And I think I'm gonna speak for myself. I've never, in my adult career, and again, streetwear is very lax. Sneakers is very lax. I don't even know if some companies have HR. It's very chill, lax. And so I don't think I've ever crossed the line. Cool. I don't even think I flirt like that. I'm a friendly person. Sometimes it comes off. Look at him. Don't hold on. Listen.
He tried you, Tasha.
Listen.
Jay tried you.
Listen, he tried me. I come off as friendly, y'all. This is like the Nebraska girl. You know, I'm like, hey, y'all, I'm friendly. Men take it a different way. That's on you. But I think what Tanisha said, if we are in a professional manner, if we're in a professional workplace, no, do not cross that line. And I'm firm on that. I'm strict on that. Do not cross that line, bro. Do not ask me out at work. Do not say I'm cute. Nothing.
But y'all speaking. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere, right? Because we got a whole black black culture love issue going on, right?
Okay.
Community, right? Where there ain't enough black love out here, ain't enough black families out here, right? And I'm about to get personal, right? Tanisha, are you single?
Yes.
Tasha, are you single?
I'm single.
So both of y'all run around this motherfucker single, like I'm single, right? And
Running
but you're talking
around
about,
where?
don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. Like, come on. What's that putting out?
Well, she's saying don't do it in a listen. The one thing you got to respect is you got to respect boundaries. I don't care what field you in. You got to respect boundaries, right? And so for her boundaries are not at work. Not at work. Like, don't approach me at work about nothing like this. This is my professional world. This is how I want my professional world to be. This is how I want it to act. Those are her boundaries. So you got to respect those boundaries that she has put on for how she likes to conduct herself at work. Now, if you see her, I don't know, Tasha can speak for herself, but if this is outside of work, right, for whatever reason, and you approach me and this is serious, et cetera, okay, different. But as far as like at work, no, this is at work. At this event, that's a work event, like these are my boundaries. I don't want that shit. And you got to respect that. That's not saying like she don't want to be in no relationship or try to have that or anything like that. That's just saying this is how I want my work life to be. And because of that, respect that boundary.
So
yes, girl. Tanisha, you better know me, girl.
I got you.
That sounds good until the guy that y'all want to talk to you is not hitting on you. But that's another conversation. That's
But then
if the guy I want to talk
that's a conversation. Don't nobody want boundaries when they want the guy. That guy, there ain't no boundaries for that guy though, right? So, but that's the two sides talking out of both sides of your mouth again. Can't have it both ways.
No, but ain't nobody going out of, if those are your boundaries, those are your boundaries. It's like sticking to your word. If that's your word, that's your word. If you ain't gonna, if that's your line, your line in the sand, and you ain't willing to cross that, and you don't want nobody else to cross that, then it is what it is. That might be a missed opportunity, but what's for me will always come back to me.
We're gonna go to some questions in a minute, but I will say this. Christopher said it in the comment section, and don't forget Greensboro, Houston, Atlanta, Charlotte. If you have questions, throw them out. We'll get you up here. But it's about reading the room, and I think allowing both sets of people to be nuanced. And just because a woman says in a space, I don't want a coworker at work saying what's up to me, doesn't mean she's automatically saying I don't want a man or I don't want a woman, right. Whatever. It's like, I just don't want it, like you said, like this way. But I think taking the time to see each other and not be selfish and read the room. Reading the room says it's not about me and what I want in the moment. And even if it's something that is desirable for me, I'm still interacting with another human being. So it still cannot be all about me. And if we take time to see each other and hear each other, I think we will be able to kind of deal with the boundaries and read the room.
Chantel, is also different for women. Right? Mm-hmm. Like, let's talk about these double standards. It's also different for women and how we are seen when we do get elevated to places of power, right? Boom. So we have these relationships and we start these relationships in these workforces. Like, I don't care what you say, we seen different once we get elevated. Oh, she fucked her way up. You know what I'm saying? Oh, this, oh, that, oh, whatever the case may be. So we have to be extra careful and extra cautious with how we deal in professional settings because we're always looked at differently. You know what I mean? The standards is always different for us if that happens to be something that caught somebody else's attention. You know what I'm saying?
Great point. Great point.
I understand completely because there's definitely a way to finesse it, and I was being a bit facetious to push the conversation along.
Oh, you good.
Might be the
You
wrong
good,
word, but I was pushing the narrative left a little bit to force the conversation. I definitely think there's ways to create space, but still, just to want to amplify the fact that it is very difficult to navigate. It could be difficult to navigate space in balance and letting women in, because I try to make people around me feel comfortable. If you work with me, you're fucked, because I am how I am, right? I don't manage men and women different. You're gonna get all of me all the time, if that makes sense. So if that hurts your feelings, you fucked. Don't work with me.
Right? Like, yeah.
Entrepreneur. He needs to stay an entrepreneur.
Assistant.
Yeah.
He ain't lying. He is who
But
he is.
Right.
because listen, for me, creating space is being I'm a man, right? So I still believe in chivalry ain't dead. I do all hold the door. I'm gonna pay for dinner, all of that shit, right? But if you get on the court, I'm gonna try to bust your ass, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
No different than like it's a sport, right? We on the court now. It's no holds barred. We out here, right? I'm gonna bust your ass. We out here, right? And you're gonna bust mine, same, right? So I think there has to be a balance, and we got to create space. But in creating space, we can't act like we're not still mindful of the unique differences. And sometimes that differences causes it makes it a little more it makes it a little difficult if you're not used to navigating the space. And once again, I've been around, my age is shown, I've been around this shit for a long time. So I just choose to try to stay away from dating in our industry as a whole to avoid any issues. But that's a big ass step to take. Nobody should have to go and stay away from a whole industry of people because it'll cause conflict, right? But the conflicts and getting canceled and saying the wrong thing is things that men think about, right? Like, yo, we say it all the time, like, yo, don't get canceled, don't say something crazy or say something right that's even taken out of context, right? So as men, we tread space trying to give y'all room and still end up getting in trouble too. So I didn't have anything to say. It just was a big ass comment. So I'll let y'all go from there.
That's fair.
This is good. I like this. It's good. It's great to talk about these things. I mean, it's important. It's still around. These issues are, men and women have to coexist somehow. So I think it's great. I love this topic. And Tanisha, man, this is so great. This is my new best friend. I think this is fabulous.
Yeah.
Go
ahead, Chantel. No, go ahead, Chantel.
We had, so ladies, if you're in the room, men, if you're in the room, if you have questions, make sure you throw them in the chat. We'll throw you up there. Tuck did have a really good question. If we wanted to go to a question from him, or if we wanted to kind of stay where we are, we can.
I know Tuck had a good question because he was sitting there like this.
Oh yeah, let me hear.
Tuck was holding in. He was rocking like
the chin rub.
I'm like, so Tuck, can you unmute yourself, brother, and go ahead and ask your question?
Yeah. So James, why you had to put me on blast like that as the first question? But nah, just playing.
You was the first screen, like it was to my right. I could see your face.
It's all good, brother. It's all good. But to my question, what has been the most uncomfortable and defensive tactic that an associate, either male or female, has done to hinder the growth of your space? And what have you learned from that experience?
I think from my perspective as a coach, is gaslighting. You know what I'm saying? Like, just like we all teammates in it. You know what I'm saying? Like we all teammates in it. And so whoever gets to shine, like, let me put it like that, as assistant coach, like my job is to do all the dirty work as an assistant coach, right? And I know that, I understand that, and I'm cool with that because that's how I grow, that's how I learn, that's how I get better. You know what I'm saying? But I think I've at times have been in situations where like, damn, I'm really getting gaslight right now. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it don't gotta be like that because this is my role. You know what I'm saying? So like, you don't have to go that route. And so for me, I've always just looked at it like, you know what, I must be doing something right. It's a compliment. You know what I'm saying? I must be doing something right. Keep focusing on what you're doing, keep building, keep growing, and your time will come. And for me, it did. It came a lot sooner than what I thought it would come. But because I had been preparing myself all this time, I was ready for the opportunity.
Bet.
Great question. I think that the biggest hindrance or struggle has been, and I think it's so funny because we still have to talk about this, but the pay gap and not being paid equally or fairly, and realizing it much later. Especially with my previous employer, man, I was so underpaid and my male counterparts were getting more than me. I had, you know what I mean? Not even just seniority, but just doing the same job, the same work and getting paid less. And I've seen it even with employees that have been under me, and I don't do payroll, so I wouldn't know. But then seeing it later that, you know, these male and female employees under me have been paid differently. And, you know, I think that a lot of people don't realize that, like, that's a thing. Like, the gender pay gap, especially Black women, is much less. I think we get 83 cents to the dollar that men get. Or no, it might be even less. It might be 63. But it's crazy that we still have to talk about that. Like, I should be paid equally for the work that I do through my male counterparts. So that honestly has been the biggest struggle. And I just went full-time entrepreneur in July. And so I think just seeing the dynamic is so much different. And then hindsight is 2020. Obviously, sometimes people will never know. You might not never know you're getting paid less than your male counterpart. I've been fortunate enough, the truth always comes to light on my side. So I've seen it. It's been a struggle in my career. I think a lot of women go through that in any industry. And then, yeah, I mean, just quickly, again, sexual harassment, you know, being, and then also sexism in the workplace. I've been to trade shows and men be like, hey, I'm about to take the buyers. I tell this story a lot. Sorry if you've heard this story, but they were like, hey, we're going to take the buyers out for dinner. You know, and then, no, baby, invited all these people, but no one showed up. And then tried to kiss me. I'm like, this don't make no sense. So, and that's a true story. I will never forget that story. And that's crazy. Why would we have to go through that? Why did you lie? And why? So it's been crazy. And I think women go through so much, but I think Tuck, that was a great question. And I think shining light on these issues are important because, again, some men don't even know. And not ignorance, you guys just don't know that we are underpaid or we have to go through sexual harassment without the common ones like the catcalling or hey sweetie or whatever. It goes beyond that in a lot of ways.
I appreciate you. Oh, go ahead, James.
That was definitely a good question, Tuck. And again, that some of it is it's very tough. I couldn't imagine being. I always say the only thing tougher than being a black man is being a Black woman. But go ahead, Chantel. Let me let you get to some more questions because I could blab for a second. Go ahead.
No, that was good. I was looking at Jabari. I know James touched on your question a little bit. Did he answer that for you and kind of get to it in terms of being in a workplace and seeing that someone that you do like and understanding like how to do the boundaries? Was that answered for you? Oh, you gotta unmute.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I was just asking, I mean, not gassing myself up, but maybe being in the workplace and somebody approaching me and I'm like, I can't say anything, you know, I can't say anything back. So I'm just like, I'm hearing what you guys saying in this space, but I'm seeing the other side as well, where it's like, I know if I say something, so I work in predominantly, I would say, advertising agencies in the past. So probably the only Black person on the team per se. So I felt like they were just waiting for me to like say something like, okay, he did exactly what I thought he would. So I feel like I tried to fight that narrative, and then, you know, out the blue, I'm out. One of my directors say something crazy, like you wouldn't even imagine what she said, but something very crazy. And I'm like, okay, what do I do from here? Because as a guy, do you say, oh my God, I'm not about to, I mean, literally I just said nothing and kind of walked away and act like it didn't happen because she was like intoxicated. But it's just like, it could.
So you think there's a double standard?
I think so.
Well, no, I get his point. Like sexual harassment can be on both ways. There's a lot of women that hit on men in the workplace. So don't get me wrong, I've definitely seen that as well. But I think that, and I agree with you. I don't think anything's wrong with your point. I think females cross the line too, in several ways. I think that.
Hold on, Tosh, one question. What's crossing the line for a female though.
James is cracking me up, bro.
No, because I'm fact. I mean, listen, what's crossing the line? So from a woman's perspective, what shouldn't you say to a guy?
I don't think anything inappropriate as far as, I don't think you should be saying anything sexual. Probably shouldn't be commenting on his looks to a certain extent.
What's that extent?
Like, I don't know. I don't think she'd be like
damn, you fine as hell.
Yeah, thank you, Tanisha. Tag team.
Like, God damn, you fine as hell. What's up?
My point and purpose is because I think, and listen, once again, I'm a witty person, so I understand how to move. But in watching it happen, right? I've seen you can watch a lot of things play. A lot goes wrong because Chantel hit it earlier, right? You can be, if people are hot and cold or whatever on the side, you can say something on Monday that's funny, and on Wednesday that's harassment, right? 100%. And there isn't any such thing as consistency with emotional beings. All humans are emotional beings, and the workplace is gonna make you go like this. There's no workplace. If you in a good workplace, that motherfucker ain't going like this. You're in a good workplace, that joint's going like this, right? That's the workplace, right? Because you're attacking it at highs and lows every day. So it's tough to expect. We all got to have some level of emotional maturity. But I think seeing it go bad, and I've seen it go bad on some folks, it's just something that you got to be mindful to pay attention to. So I do agree that it goes both ways, and I kind of cut you off in the middle of your explanation. My apologies, Tasha, but I had to catch you.
Hey, James,
I think you have to tell people too, how that makes you feel.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like, I think you have to express how that made you feel and let that be in the forefront. Like, listen, I appreciate it, but I'm not comfortable in that situation. Moving forward, I would prefer if you don't talk to me like that. You know what I'm saying? And then document that shit. I'm sorry. Like, if you really have issues, like,
or simply say that's not for us. Like, yo, if somebody hits you, you can hit them with, that ain't for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
hey, y'all, real quick, let me jump in here and say we got our other sister in the room. We got Sharifa that pulled up. I told her, Sharifa, this conversation spicy, girl. I don't know.
Sharifa!
Yo, so I got a question. I got a question. Ladies, and I'm glad Sharifa came in. I'm gonna hit you with I'm gonna hit you. If you came in late, I'm gonna hit you with one as soon as you come in the door. How do you teach confidence?
How do you teach confidence? It's a hard thing. I think that has to be from when you're young. I went through some things as a young person, and I think those things made me more confident as I grew. I think as you grow, you become more confident, but you have to believe in yourself.
And I think it's, and we talked about it earlier, and I got the back noise. My apologies. Let me let you go, Tanisha and Tasha go, because I'm end up answering my own question. Tanisha and Tasha, how do y'all teach confidence? How do you teach confidence?
I mean, I think she hit it. I think confidence comes from within. It's hard to teach. It's hard to teach that because you can't fake that. You know what I mean? So I think Sharifa hit it. I don't really have much more to add to that. It's like that has to be something that comes from within. And I think from a family structure, like if you as a parent or caretaker or givers, if that's something that you can start instilling in your kids, right, or whoever from a young age, that also helps as they grow and become young adults. So I think that's something that does start from young ages. Where you growing to yourself?
Yeah, Sharifa, wise woman, great nail on the head. I think that also growth, of course, but also just getting older. I mean, I feel like I've been the most confident. Something about these 30s, baby. You can't tell me nothing. Like, something about these 30s.
It's when you hit 30, it's like you know better. You know better, you do better. And also, it's like, I mean, I remember when you're a teenager, you got so much to learn, and you have so much to learn from people. So I won't ever say people are cocky, a lot of them, but confidence is something within. Yep. You have to breed that. And also, I definitely feel like your family, your people around you play a big part in that. If you have cheerleaders and they champion you on, my father was the first person to tell me I was beautiful. So like for me, that was like mind blowing. So you have that in your ear all the time. It doesn't take someone else to do that, you know?
Great point.
I think it's difficult because insecurity is something that insecurity is something that a lot of people deal with, right? And
Yeah.
being young and there's a bunch of different kinds of confidence, right? Because you got to get your feet under you in a lot of things. And again, I apologize for the background noise. So I think there's an idea of personal confidence, right? But even confidence gathering your space itself, because a lot of what we're talking about is being comfortable in your space, right? And I'm switching the conversation kind of a bit to Black love, because we're in a space where women are talking about how men make them feel, right? And part of what's happened through our lifetimes, right, in the last 20 years is when we institutionalize, when the systemic issue of locking Black men up started to happen in the 80s, and women needed to start taking a lead. And now women, there are probably more educated Black women than there are Black men, right? And Black women is on some real educated and being compensated and have a voice in the world the way they should, right? That shit's tough to handle for some people who just don't really know how to get their foot in this working to get their footing, right? So imagine why our Black love shit is so messed up, right? Because you got men out here who's trying to grab it. You got women who want to keep the confidence and want to be who they should be, right? But how do the two things connect, right? And when a woman is so alpha, it scares some men. And women is quick to say, well, you just insecure. And it's less about them being insecure. It's more about them understanding and having a bandwidth, understanding how to really like find the time and create the space to understand the person enough to actually be able to make something happen. Does that make sense? And it takes a lot of time, and space, because the juxtaposition of that is the chick that's out here just whatever, like easy layup, right? She may not be who the person wants for real, but she's easier, right?
Yeah.
But easy may not create the long lasting thing, but it may be enough to distract the person from focusing on the person who they're really interested in. Does that all make sense?
It makes sense. I definitely believe you're right. I think that, first off, I'm a big advocate for women, and I understand we're all looking for this prototype of a man, but sometimes we really need to kind of like chill out and look at ourselves first. That's my personal belief. Like, I met my husband when I started looking at myself first. I was looking for a prototype that just wasn't happening. And I had to know what I wanted and what I loved about myself. And you have to meet the person in the middle. You ain't going to always meet the person that's on top and that's doing this and doing that, because that's what a lot of these young girls out here think. It's not like that no more. And I think that, and it's never really been like that, to be honest with you. There's one in a few, but I think that sometimes you need to focus on who you are, and that person will come somehow, some way. And it's just different. It's different. And especially if you're looking for a long-term relationship, it's different for you to be in a relationship and want all these things, but don't have nothing to offer. Because that's another thing that we tend to do.
Yeah, I think, oh, go ahead, Chantel.
Sorry.
I don't want to shift it back, but I do want to mention this and see if y'all can answer it really quickly, because I keep seeing it coming up in the chat, and it's something that I've been thinking about. James mentioned the confidence thing, and all of you, the three of you, have had to have intrinsic confidence, and there's been some external things, some extrinsic things that had to happen for you to develop confidence. I'm a firm believer that confidence is developmental. What do you do when you experience things in your life that shakes your confidence? And in full transparency, I'm going through perimenopause. I have considered myself confident most of my life. My father did that thing that Sharifa said, calling me beautiful. The women in my family are very strong. But this is a new space and a new deal for me. And I'm sure there are other people in these spaces or in the room that have felt like they were on a trajectory of life and they were doing well and they were confident in who they are. Then boom, something happens. For us as women, that could be having children and your body morphs and you look like something different. For me, it's perimenopause and I feel crazy as a sprayed roach every other day and forgetting stuff. Tell us about a moment where your confidence has been shaken, and what did you do to kind of slide back where you needed to be?
So many, and I'm glad you brought this back because this is important. I think that we go through imposter syndrome a lot. Even, and we've talked about this before, Chantel, but like being extroverted alpha females, we still have our moments. I break down very often. And I think especially being, going full-time entrepreneur, I was like, oh shit, what did I do? I was like, this can't last me my whole life. I'm not going to be cool and fresh and hip my whole life. What am I going to do? So that goes through my mind a lot. And then also I'm like, oh, my event's going to be trash. No one's going to go. Everyone hates me. I think that all the time. Like I'm very confident woman, but I feel like sometimes we have that imposter syndrome. We like, and it always works out. It always goes right. And then obviously I'm doing my due diligence for the future of her grails. But I think that's very important. It's been, girl, I could probably broke down yesterday. Like we go through a lot, and then your personal life affects your business sometimes and how you think or how you have to come to work, right? Like I got to show up at an event. I had the worst day of my life last Saturday, Air Max Day, had to show up at the event and keep it cute. So I think that I love that question because it's not always, I'd be lying if I was confident 100% of the time. It's a lie. It might look cute. It might look like I got it together, but it's not always like that.
I agree, but I also believe that these things happen. Like Chantel, I know the situation you're going through, and I think there's just going to be something that's going to spark you, and you're going to realize, you still are who you are. I think it's just going to take that time. I think you have to go through the process like everybody else. I'm in the middle of about to have a baby. It's a process. My body's going to change. I'm going to feel insecure about that too. But I'm going to force myself to make sure I take care of myself to not feel that way. So I think it's about putting in your mind right now, like what you are willing to do for yourself. And if it's taking yourself to the spa, even though you're sweating and doing all the things you're doing, but do things that's going to make you happy, little things. Get your nails done, get your hair done, cut your hair. Do things like that you feel like is going to uplift your spirit. And also just be around people and understand that everything has a season. And this is just a season for this. And it's not, and this too shall pass.
Perfectly said.
For me, I would say too, the other thing is like, I'm really big into right now, like creating like strong sisterhoods, like strong friendships and having people, because I think you have to have a intrinsic confidence, you know what I mean? But we're human. Like, let's be honest, you go through those moments, like, you know what I mean? But if you have the right people around you, you create like the right village, like they help you in those moments. You know what I mean? Those moments when you're going through it and you need a little something, a little booster, a little energy, you know what I mean? Giver, you know what I mean? Like people who can give you energy. And we all have people in our lives that, when we connect with them, we're able to feed off of their energy. So I think that that's important too, as you navigate your spaces.
I'll add something in, and all of you had perfect answers. The only thing I'll add is, and I'll use a basketball analogy, just get a shot back up. You might not even, you may shoot another air ball. Get a shot up. Like you gotta get the confidence to get your shot back up. And you see shooters, good shooters keep shooting. And bad shooters keep shooting too. But when, to use Tanisha's earlier point, when they start to shoot smart and take the time to really focus on how they're shooting and the tactic that it takes to make the shot, then you'll start to understand there's a process for building your confidence, right? Because I'm also a believer in developmental confidence, right? Like listen, there's certain shit that I was born with, but to go out there and shoot at the world every day and say, literally, no, I'm gonna kill this shit every day. And when everybody think it's gonna be over without them, right? When everybody think they're the reason. Like humans have a fucking weird way of expressing their love to one another, and they would like to believe that without them, nothing else is possible, right? But you have to tell yourself, like, yo, you could do anything and do it, like literally, even if that means shooting that fucking air ball until you hit the hoop. But once you understand you can get it in the hoop, it's seeing that, understanding how you done it, and repeating it and doing it again. And then the other thing is, obviously, I'm gonna resonate a lot with what Tanisha said. There's people in your life that just naturally pick you up. Understand who they are and know when you need to call them. Sometimes it's just a damn voice. Some people's mother's voice is so comforting that they don't have to say anything. They can just hear their voice. Some people are the right people in your life to just wrap themselves, even if they don't know they're that for you, have that around you, because that in and of itself makes things a little better. My fault for hogging the ball on that, Chantel and ladies.
No, that was good. Everybody.
Perfect.
That was good.
Perfect.
Sharifa, did you get a chance to share? For the person
Yeah.
who's in the audience though, everything was perfect. Don't put yourself in a corner and don't take yourself out of the game. Love that.
Yep.
And all of you are examples of that. And there are people that I'm watching in the chat and that are online that you're examples of that. Keep doing that. How y'all feeling on time? El Jefe, fellow sisters in arms, how y'all feeling on time?
I'm here.
Let's take a couple more questions.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's bring up, actually, Julius. Did you have a question, brother? Julius Pierre.
No, I didn't necessarily have a question. I'm just listening, really just taking in everything. But no questions.
Oh, I'm
Good
sorry.
conversation, just taking everything in.
It's Danielle. I meant to click Danielle. Thank you for that.
All right.
Julius. Danielle, I'm coming to you. Can you go ahead and ask your question?
Yeah. My question was, in general, there are less opportunities for women, right? But I think we can all agree to that. But from a race standpoint, what is the point of view from a Black woman's perspective?
Maybe rephrase your question just a little bit so that we can fully get it.
Yeah, so like, for example, you're all successful in your areas, and in general, there are less opportunities for women. So whenever you do make it in these rooms, what is that ratio like? And how do you maneuver?
Well, I'll talk me personally. I'm always the only one. So how do I maneuver is I bring more people up with me. That's always been my gist.
Mm-hmm.
I always bring more people. I mean, I don't think you understand. Like, I'm the girl that's going to be like, you need a job? You need a job? Who needs a job? Because I'm looking for other women and other men, and Black especially, to come with me, because I don't want to always be the only one in the room. So that's just how I maneuver all the time.
Love it. Perfectly said.
Yeah, that's spot on. I'm one of, there's 12 WNBA coaches.
Wow.
5 of us are African American, 2 males and 3 women. And so I agree, like creating opportunities for others. You know what I mean? We're held to a different standard, and we have a different responsibility because we represent a league full of Black women. So, being cautious of the fact that we're not going to get many opportunities. So when we get up at bat, we damn sure better knock it out the park the first time around. So just being really cautious of that and moving and navigating because of that. So every move that, I'm making, it's methodical, it's strategic. It's not on the whim. You know what I'm saying? And so again, like Sharifa said, trying to create other opportunities for others to come up with you, and just being strategic and methodic when you are in those spaces.
No, absolutely. Tanisha and Sharifa said it completely right. Like, I feel like we have the double whammy. We're not only women, but we're Black women. And so I think that it's a lot. I'm usually one of the only one in the rooms that I'm in. And I think exactly what they said. I'm a true believer in, like, if I'm climbing, I'm bringing everyone with me. Everyone's coming with me. And I think it's more than just like putting your people on, right? It's like Sharifa said, putting them in positions that make sense. We're not just booking these people because they're the homeboys and the homegirls. no, like these people really know what they're doing. And sometimes that, you know, we might get the opportunity first. And so why not bring the whole team with me? This is my photographer that I use. This is the shoe cleaner brand that I use. This a woman does it, whatever. I think it's so important to support other women. I think a lot of people talk crap about the women empowerment movement or whatever. No, I think it's very, very important to put our sisters on and to make sure that we're putting people, speaking about people in rooms that they should be already in. So I think that's huge. Great point. I'm such a believer in, you know, putting everybody on all my girlfriends that respectfully should be there.
Yeah, I think Tasha, you make a good point, right? Like these people are qualified. Like, you know what I mean? Like these people are qualified. It's not like you get this opportunity and you're not just bringing up, oh, Joe Schmo because Joe Schmo and I went to school together. No, I'm bringing up qualified people that can help me do the job, help me grow, right? And elevate as we continue to go. Because it would make no sense if I just brought up Joe Schmo and now I got to teach you how to do your work and it's taken away from me focusing on what I'm doing. Now I'm bringing up qualified individuals that can do the work, right? And going to help elevate and grow as we move forward. So I think that's a good point too.
I want to jump into Danielle because the only thing that I want to defeat the narrative. There's opportunity out here, right? And I think Black women have a place, the same place as everybody else. It's just having a confidence to understand that everything is for you. There ain't something, nothing's limited, right? Everything that there is for you the same way it is for me. And get comfortable in a room with each other. Like, yo, I understand how to sit in a room full of, I think everybody understand where I'm from. So like, yo, I can sit at the table with whoever, right? So you could even be, I'll invite you in a room at times, even to my detriment, if that makes sense. If I think the opportunity is big enough to affect enough people, if that makes sense. So I think we got to get comfortable with the idea of first believing, understanding that there is opportunity. Second is having the confidence to approach the opportunity. And the third one is the most important, making sure you're meaningfully prepared when you walk in the room, right? And I think that's the bigger point, right? Less about the opportunity, more about the meaningful preparation. Because when you show up as anything meaningfully prepared, that opens up more opportunities for others.
Yeah, I'm not gonna hold you, James, but Black women don't have the same opportunities as everyone.
And again, I'll say it again. I said it again. If I had a real shot at knowing everything, and listen, I understand the only thing more difficult, and I'll say it, I said it earlier, I'll say it again.
Yeah.
Only thing being, as a human, only thing being more difficult than being a Black man is being a Black woman. But you can't tell me that. Come on, man.
Oof, we're gonna have to disagree.
I'm from the absolute fucking bottom.
Right.
Like, absolute. Tippity ain't no getting no worse to where I came from. The fuck, you know where I am right now? Right? Like the opportunities that we have right now. So you can't tell me, it's impossible to tell me that there isn't space for Black women to
there's space.
Check.
There's space.
That's it. Listen, we have to be the architects of our own existence. Motherfuckers don't create nothing. You're an entrepreneur. That means you make everything. I eat. I kill what I eat. Right? So go kill what the fuck you eat. Like, don't nobody get to dictate our space. We make this shit. Space and fucking opportunity out here.
But not everybody's an entrepreneur. Not everybody's an entrepreneur.
There's enough space and opportunity on earth in general, yo. If you want to learn something, it's about meaningfully creating a space to fucking learn it. It's about meaningfully leveraging the opportunities, doing the fucking work. As her journey to becoming a coach, she was playing 2 years ago. She's a fucking head coach. That don't happen, right? There wasn't space. She made the space.
Right. Okay, I agree with that.
You have to pay attention to her.
Yeah.
She made herself a ballot candidate. She went out and
say
and coached college at the same fucking time and flew back and forth and drove to fucking places in the middle of the night that I would be scared for, and we from the same projects.
Hit your point, Sharifa, go.
No, I agree. I think that if there is enough opportunity, and if there isn't an opportunity, you got to create your own and call it back. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all been there where we want to do something and you can't, or you've been put in place by someone else, and you just got to create your own shit and call it a day. I do agree with that one. There's enough opportunity. You just got to be hungry enough to go get it.
I agree.
I'm gonna come on top of Sharifa again. Ain't nobody giving us nothing, yo.
Yeah.
It's systemically more difficult for Black and brown folks and more difficult for women. So is it more difficult? Yes. So you're gonna not do the work because it's more difficult?
Yeah.
No question.
I just think the opportunities are different.
A lot of what we see is a willingness, and listen, should it be harder for us? No, right? But if you understand it's harder, that means you also understand you need to be meaningfully more prepared.
Yeah. You gotta be 10 times better at what you do.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You gotta be 10 times better, but excuse me. But that's just the nature of being Black in America. Let's just be honest. You know what I mean? Like, that's the nature of it.
And this is a conversation that we know that we can have, and we probably should write this in our notes to have another conversation on it and push the envelope, because definitely we don't want to ignore what's really in space and what's really happening, but we don't want to walk around with inferiority complex, because that's not the stuff that we're made of as a people group. That's not where we come from, and we've always had to push. We created whole towns and whole systems out of who we are, but want to be respectful of everyone's time. And so want to say this, for those of you who had questions in the audience, who were scrolling through and making sure that we got as many commentary pieces out there. To the people that are on the screen, to Tanisha, to Tasha, to Sharifa, James, we already know who you are, how you roll. Ladies, thank you so much for being on the call, for sharing. Sharifa, I know you pulled in skirt a little bit later. We appreciate you being in here. Men and women on the call, thank you for joining us and being with us. There's more conversations like this to come. You can check out Tasha with her grails. You can check out and make sure we support Tanisha when her team goes start spanking up on everybody. And we can make sure Sharifa, when Envision Fest start rolling around, we make sure we support that. If you all want to see more, you're welcome. If you all want to see more of what we do, please check out I'm a Meunier USA. Check out Be Social. Please check out Social Status. Check out the Whitaker group. We have more going on so we can uplift each other, encourage each other, and push each other on. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, ladies.
Appreciate it
so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.